Hello, friends. Welcome to the Global Intelligence Update from the Life Online technothriller book series. I'm Kay Slane, and you are listening to a Future World broadcast where we focus on a news story or issue from today, draw parallels to the future tech scenarios described in the Life Online book series, and then ask the question, could it all come to pass? Now, I'm a global traveler, writer, an observer to the future who is tracking today's world in search of tomorrow's implications to keep you informed, aware, and up to date. Today is May 14th, 2017, and the story in the news and our future tech follower heads is all about the talk around China's One Belt, One Road initiative. So this weekend, Beijing hosted the largest diplomatic meeting to date to publicize and promote its mega infrastructure plan to connect Asia, Europe, and all the lands in between via road and rail and shipping ports. And if this plan evolves in line with the publicity around it, OBOR, One Belt, One Road, OBOR, will change the face of global commerce. And yes, I'm going to pronounce it OBOR. That's what I'm going to call it. You could also say or maybe. Or the funniest thing I heard is that the original name when referring to this summit that was held in Beijing, it's called the Belt and Road Forum. So the acronym would be BARF, which barf, that's the word. So I don't think anyone's going to use that. I'm going to stick with OBOR. So my question, all of this discussion about building out a traditional world infrastructure is, where's the tech? What's the digital technology underlying the plan? And if there isn't one, why not? The OBOR initiative is based on the blueprint of the old Silk Road trading routes. But we are not dealing with camels and caravans and sailing ships here. So why would China or other countries want to build a 21st century infrastructure on a first century blueprint? And remember, I'm always looking for the Life Online angle in these stories. You know, where in the book series has this idea come up? So what's going on in the world today that parallels the stories in the book? World trade is done online. So I'm envisioning there could be a central hub to track all the OBOR trade activities, which includes tracking people, travelers, by the way. And the central hub would most likely be in Beijing. But just like in the book, in the motion clue, Beijing and Brussels and other world capitals have kind of this secret connection into each other's critical infrastructure activities. So I'm thinking this connection is being built out now. And I want to know, if you're building OBOR, what's the digital connection plan? Okay, so before we get into that, let's take a step back. What is OBOR? Well, back in the beginning of global trade, the market town was the hub of commerce. So today, we're going to call that town Amazon.com. But back in about 130 BCE, these trade routes started to form across Asia and Europe, and all along the way there were the various market towns where people could trade with each other. And the whole thing was called the Silk Road because people wanted to get their hands basically on Chinese silk. Now, around 1500, the whole thing was over when the Ottomans stopped the cross-continental trade routes. And by the way, notice that timing, right? I said 1500, but remember in 1492, what did Columbus decide to do? Yeah, he went the other way because the old routes were blocked. So just imagine how one group's geopolitical decision can change the world as you think about China reopening, so to speak, these once blocked roadways and moving trade again over these traditional routes. What does that mean? Well, essentially, China is going to fund the construction of roads, railways, and seaports to facilitate global trade. That's basically the official story. So let's take a look at some of the plans. This is the South China Morning Post visual explainer of the initiative. It's a really cool site. There's a URL if you want to check it out. So in case you're wondering, the belt in OBOR is the physical roads, and the road is the seaway. So I know that's confusing, but I guess belt and water didn't work. So on this website, you can see there's they talk about some of the major projects right here. And I'm going to look at this railway to London. I'll bring that one up first. And as you can see, how this website works. As you scroll down, so over here, that's where you're starting in the Chinese city of Yiwu. And as you scroll down, you can see how you're moving across China there as you read about the different stops along the way. And it shows you, the elevation that you're going through, the major cities that you're going to hit, what's going on in those cities. Here you are passing the Tibetan Plateau. It shows you keep going. You end up, now you're in Kazakhstan, moving along. Some of the network facilities and security risks and so on that you might see there. Now you're into Russia. And you're still not there. It's an 18-day trip. But on and on it goes. I'll speed it up here. All the way across Europe. There's Berlin until you get to London, your final destination. It's really cool. It's a lot of fun. So back to the basics. OBOR is expected to access 65% of the world's population, who today control 1/3 of world GDP and 1/4 of all the goods and services moved around the world. And of course, all those trade numbers are expected to increase as the plans get built out. So big numbers means big spending. The usual cost starts at the comfortably round number of, say, $1 trillion and goes up from there. Some commentators put the entire package at closer to $4 trillion, but again, depending on who you ask. And some people say, for sure, this is not benevolence or foreign aid. It is loans from China to the receiving countries, who then turn around and pay Chinese companies to complete the construction. All right, so coming back to the tech, I take you back to how this could play out in a Life Online techno-thriller. In the books, the entire world is connected via the network, which is run under the auspices of the United Nations. And the network tracks all human activity, including trade and personal travel. So if China has created a digital network connecting the One Belt, One Roads project, that whole server network would have to integrate with the world system. And you can imagine similar regional systems someday being integrated. For example, there could be an EU system, or dare I say it, a NAFTA system, and they'd all be connected. But that's the fictional scenario. So why do you care? Well, think about the implications for online shopping. Because as a consumer, you're ordering products through your 21st century market town, which is Amazon or whatever, and you track that movement along OBOR or any other global trading route. Now, right now in today's world, you've got an idea from the time the product is in your country and goes from an airport, say, aggregation site to your door, and you have a general idea of when it shows up. But what about in a world where products are manufactured on spec anywhere in the world, and you can get anything you want from anywhere at any time? So for those of you who have read The Motion Clue, this is the scenario where the Chilean naval officer / bodyguard discusses with Commander Katie. He says, I buy this car that's made every year, a toy car, on my birthday and sent to me. And so we're not talking about a world where you order what's available. You are ordering what you want, and someone makes it for you. And you'll want to see that production and transportation from the beginning. So you need the global tracking system to do that. And it has to be global because you want to know that your product has passed different international borders, or it's being held up in customs, say at Gwadar Port. So, let's hop back and look at the site here and look at Gwadar Port, which is in Pakistan. And let's follow the whole route coming down. You start in Kashgar and you work your way down through Pakistan, and you get all the way down to Karachi on the coast, and then you go to the port. So you would be able to see here, okay, I'm looking at this, here's where my product is, and I might have to wait, X days longer because it hasn't arrived yet. That's the kind of thing you're thinking about when you think about what does the digital connectivity look like for this particular global infrastructure. So this could mean that the control hub is somewhere, let's say it's in China, that it effectively tracks all the cargo and the people moving through the Belt and Road countries. Now, the official reason for this is going to be security and the reassurance to commercial businesses that, that everything is going well and you can track everything that you order. The unofficial reason would be to control a significant portion of world trade and to, say at a moment's notice, maybe cut cut off vital shipments bound for a country that may not be playing along with a bigger agenda. So, and there's also military implications. You think about a central hub for OBOR, which would be able to provide military interests with up to the second map of all activity on major transnational roads and rails and in ports, which would greatly facilitate strategic decision making. Now, hopefully that's just all going to be FYI and not because somebody wants to use the information, to invade someone. But I'm thinking this is a credible outline for a Life Online thriller. But you guys can let me know, if I'm following a good story. Now, surprisingly, the official news coverage of One Belt, One Road has not really touched on what the digital or electronic commerce around this whole initiative would look like. Why would they be building an exact replica of a 2,000-year-old trading network? Why not update it for the 21st century? I've seen some mention of the idea of a cyber Silk Road in e-commerce, and this refers to the opportunity for smaller countries to do business online and transport goods and more efficiency. So obviously all products will move faster than they did back in Marco Polo's day, but the number one impact of OBOR will be the shortening of transportation times, sometimes by half, from China to Central Asia and Europe, because they won't be going by sea. And this is all digital productivity that the Belt and Road is supposed to enhance. As a traveler, I would love to take that train from Beijing to London on the railway one day. Hopefully it's a fast train though. But as a future world observer, I cannot help but wonder what kind of technology underlines all of the OBOR projects and whether or not the plans include surveillance and tracking. And for that part of the story, we'll have to wait and see. In the meantime, I think we should start I should start working on the plot for the fictional version of the story. Okay, that's the Global Intelligence Update for today. We are tracking the evolution of the Belt and Road Trade Initiative, especially where high technology fits into the infrastructure plan. We're going to keep an eye out on the story as it evolves. Join the conversation on Twitter or send me your thoughts by email, and or you could just add comments below this video. And don't forget, you can get all the Life Online books by Case Lane at your favorite 21st century digital market towns, including Amazon, iBooks, Kobo, and Smashwords. I'll be back with another update on our global transition to the future tech world and what you need to watch out for to stay one step ahead of the robots. Thanks for listening.